Hello, I'm here today to talk a little bit about schizophrenia and possible causes since nobody else will. They're always like, it's an ambiguous disorder, but I'm not a professional or anything, but I've watched these people for a while, and I've suffered with issues myself, and I'm going to throw it out there. And you can be like, you're not a doctor, and you can't say anything, but it's a free country, so I can say what I want to. Anyway, the first off, I'd like to talk about paranoid schizophrenics. They appear to be suffering from a form of PTSD from more prolonged exposure to stress. If you know anything about stress, you know that how it affects the brain and how different structures can actually change, such as the hippocampus. And that's common in schizophrenics, is to find that their hippocampus is smaller. Another thing to note about it is that they're unable to recall the details of exactly what happened to them. That's pretty common, and that's also common in PTSD. If you look at the definition for paranoid schizophrenia, it's very vague, but if you watch the paranoid schizophrenics, you find that a lot of them have symptoms of PTSD, like pretty bad too. So maybe perhaps the doctors should focus a little bit more on preventing PTSD from becoming full-blown, like paranoid schizophrenia. That would probably be a wise thing to do. As far as the others, most of them appear to have suffered some sort of heart injury that causes the ventricles to enlarge, if you know anything. It also can cause major problems to the brain. If you review the cases of several individuals, even on YouTube, you'll find that they went on crash diets, which could have done two of things. It could have damaged the heart, as anorexia does, or it could have caused an electrolyte imbalance, which resulted in a hypoxia injury in their sleep that nobody picked up on because they would have relieved it before they went to the hospital, because it takes a while for the brain to deteriorate. Another common cause of what appears to be schizophrenia are head injuries and viruses. When you get a head injury, you often don't remember the events surrounding the head injury, so you don't remember that you've had one, but you definitely have. So it's important, if you have had one, to go get checked out, because it takes a while to show up in the brain, and it'll deteriorate just like schizophrenia. That brings me to my next point. When you have a head injury, and I've had one, but nobody will believe me, which is very frustrating. I told you, if you look at popular culture, you'll find the lobotomies, like in Madonna's A Bedtime Story, which sounds like a discredit to me, but that's really what it is. You'll find that they're giving hypoxia injuries to damage the frontal lobe. So I got a reaction like schizophrenia. Prior to that, I appeared to have PTSD, but yeah, my memory is just really jacked up, and it makes me look delusional because I can't really remember things as well, but I'm not. I mean, I'm not delusional in the traditional sense. I don't believe that there's monkeys on Mars ready to jump on me or anything. I say some pretty off-the-wall stuff sometimes, but it's just because I don't remember. But anyway, when your brain is melting down for the months after it, you will have hallucinations that are real. Like, for example, I saw Alma and Cizin. I've studied several schizophrenics, and they have periods of psychotic episodes, and then it deteriorates to pure cognitive dysfunction. Yes, and they look delusional, but they're really not. They just can't perceive reality, which is kind of different than what the layman use of delusional is these days. Anyway, it's my unprofessional opinion that these people, first-time schizophrenics, should be given some sort of injection of something to protect their brains from deteriorating, because that's really the major problem. They should be monitored while they're psychotic and only given antipsychotics while they're psychotic, because doing it all the time is pointless, because you can't fix cognitive defects with antipsychotics alone. I mean, if you advertise that they improve cognition, well, they probably do when somebody's psychotic because they're so confused, but they probably don't all of the time. Like, I don't think there's any sort of antipsychotic that's going to make my memory come back. Anyway, different injuries have different effects. So somebody who's gotten a major personality change from an injury, which should be kept on antipsychotics for a while to keep them calm. But if they're not showing signs of psychosis after a few months, they should just take them off of it, because it's pointless. I mean, I've seen so many schizophrenics that they have, like, on heavy-duty antipsychotics, and there's no reason for it. There's no point. So that's pretty much my unprofessional opinion on schizophrenia, is that it's some sort of injury in most people. And a lot of people that have smaller brains actually have developmental disorders, and people are like, well, he's retarded, so he's schizophrenic. And there's a big difference between schizophrenic and retardation. Some people can't tell the difference because they're like, well, they're saying weird things, and that means they're schizophrenic. No, it just means that they're slow. Schizophrenia seems to have an effect on some especially the people who have hypoxia injuries on the frontal lobe and the memory banks of the brain. But again, it's just you'll be able to pick that up on a test. You could probably screen somebody to figure out what caused their schizophrenia, but they're too freaking lazy to do it. Yes, and it's very important that they start doing therapy more in that realm while we're in the dark ages and they can't cure it. Because once the brain has deteriorated, there's no way that it's ever going to go back to what it was. Even if you had high technology to like fix the damage, they'd never get those memories back.